Hey trainers, it's been a while, but we're back with some more Celestia Ultimate content, and today we're going to be breaking down the most recent AMA. We had some great news during the AMA, and I'm going to tell you all about it, but I'm also going to break down 3 points that I thought need a bit more detail, and my personal opinions on top of it. Expect a video like this in the future after each AMA, so subscribe to be ready for that. The next AMA is in early August, and we all cannot wait to hear the news from the team. So like the video and comment below what your favourite part of the game is currently, and let's get into it, trainers. We got so much news in the recent AMA, and so much stuff that's coming soon, and these are the key points that they said. Starting off, they told us that we have partnerships coming soon, and hopefully it should start when the new update comes in August, so let's get ready for that. They will also be improving the OpenSea marketplace when it comes to the Celestia Ultimate, so we can then sell our passive rewards and NFTs on there, which will be great. The team has been testing out a bunch of new features for the game, such as land, PvP, the mini map, and optimization for the game. As we all know, the Roadless is a bit stressful for some PCs, so hopefully soon we'll be able to have much more players be able to play the game. They also gave us some news when it comes to the champions, and some of it is not all monsters will have stage 3 evolutions, especially at the beginning. They're kind of open to it down the line, but at the start it definitely won't, which I think is kind of good, but at the same time it's kind of bad, but I'll break that down a bit later because that's one of my key points I want to break down. Also, the max level for champions is 45, as you can only have 3 evolutions, and each evolution allows you to have a level cap increase. They also gave us a little bit more clarity when it comes to land, and especially when it comes to getting eggs. So basically, if a champion has more than one type in, that don't really change anything, as when you get eggs, it will come from that champion that was used. So for example, if you use the Pansac to attack to then get eggs, you will get a Pansac egg. And for some of us, we thought like if something had more than one type in, then we have 2 trees to pull from, but it's not like that. Some of you may have already worked this out, but they made it a lot more clearer for us. But when you're leveling up your champion, it doesn't change the stats at all. All it does is unlock new moves each time. But when you fuse a monster, that's when the stats will increase. So fusing is going to be a key part of the game. They also told us a little bit when it comes to roaming champions. And even though if you have an evolution for a monster, it will still walk around behind you in their stage 1 form. But I don't want to get in depth about that now because that's another one of my key points later on. They also updated all the players that had any failed fusions happen, and they said that during the course of this month you'll be getting the champions that were lost. Another big bit of news that they dropped that's kind of a bit controversial within the community, but with hyper gems they're going to be passive items and not consumables. But that's going to be another one of my key points I'm going to bring up. Well, that's all the information they gave us during the AMA, but it's time for me to break down the 3 points I wanted to get in depth about, so let's get into it. The first key point I really want to break down is the evolution system and the leveling up a little bit. But for me, having a Vex is so key right now because it's the only stage 3 monster we have currently, and they did say they're going to bring more out in the future, and they have to kind of balance the meta. Otherwise in tournaments, in the team of 3 you're going to have Vex plus 2 others. So they're going to have to bring more out in the future, and it might be a slow integration into the game, but they definitely need it, otherwise it's going to be, and they also said you can't use the same champion twice in a team, so you can't have a team of Vexes, so they have to bring more stage 3s out in the future. Considering all your stats rely on the fusing system and you going up by stage by stage by stage, they can't allow only one monster in the game to have the stage 3. They have to allow all monsters to progressively get it in the future. If not, but definitely the starter, because everyone has a starter monster. And then once land comes out and we can start just burning monsters into fusing, then we can definitely use our starter monster. And I'm generally hoping that the starter monster becomes an NFT in the future. I feel the starter monster needs to be a bit more core in the game, because currently it's just an addition or like the start of your journey. Because a lot of players currently just take out their starter monster and replace it with the new monsters because they can fuse them into other forms. I'm not necessarily a fan of tying fuse into the stats, because it basically puts a little bit of a paywall into being competitive, and we don't necessarily know how land's going to operate perfectly yet, so we're kind of just planning and hoping. And a lot of the people that already have fusions now, like fusion champions, they had to burn so much Matic, well in essence the champion, but it costs a lot of Matic to fuse them. So they need to work on this system in the future, if not balance it out a lot better. I feel something they could implement into the game is like one of the passive items could replace a fusion material monster. So instead of you having to use a champion, you can use this item instead as a replacement. I think that's a good idea. But all round, they definitely need to do something for like balancing and competitiveness for PvP. Because like I said, everyone's going to have a Vex. Like in your mind, one of your 2 monsters need to counter Vex now, because, so there you go. 2 monsters out of the 3 is going to be Vex orientated. You're going to have the Vex and have the Vex counter. And then the other monster is going to be the monster of choice, which I guess could be different for everybody. But it's definitely not going to be fun and entertaining to watch while playing PvP, because odds are there's going to be one good counter for Vex. So you're going to you see the same 2 monsters every time and then a random 3rd monster. And I feel they definitely need to work on this system in the future. Maybe they thought about it for now as like a burning mechanism for NFTs, and hopefully they can change it down the line with these new items. Obviously it's an idea that I'd have to come up with, but it's definitely a good replacement for the current system they have now. But this is the first key point I wanted to get in depth about and give you my personal thoughts on it. So let's get into the second one. My second key point is going to be about the hyper gems. Because they gave us some news in the AMA, basically explaining that they're going to be passive items and not consumables. So every time you fuse, they won't disappear. And I generally think that's a great idea, because otherwise people are going to need so many of these items. And depending on how many people join the game, there will only be a select few that will be able to fuse into like stage 3 Vex and things of that nature. And then making it a passive item means if someone's done fusing and got their full team ready, they can put it on the market and then sell it. So then in my mind, it's got a bit of a resale value, and it can be passed along according to different players, and it'll be great. They said the current passive rewards that we've got now will change over time. And I feel like if the hyper gem disappears, everyone's going to be screwed. So I feel like maybe we'll implement another item that will allow us to fuse to stage 3, or give us another system to allow us to fuse it to stage 3. Because they can't allow everyone to have this one particular item at the beginning of the game and then take it away, because say in like 2 years time, and everyone wants to fuse and there's a very limited supply of items to be able to do it, it'll be the most expensive item in the game. And for some that was complaining about the passive rewards, this one item alone is going to be the best one out of them all. So it's definitely worth getting your way up the ladder to legendary, because it's a legendary item. There's a lot of great information and updates we got during the AMA, and for me this was one of the biggest ones for me, because in my mind I don't like paywalls for games, especially when it comes to NFT games. I understand we have to have a level of investment in the game, but don't have a paywall, because you can have investment but not a paywall. Because otherwise you're going to limit the amount of people that can play the game, and you're also going to turn some people away from it just for the cost of like certain items. Because when you join the game, you're going to be like, okay, I get a stage 1 monster, how do I get it to max? And you're going to look up for the hyper gem, and then and at that point it should be on OpenSea, and it could cost so much to do it. And I feel like they need to like not have that. I know it seems silly not wanting the item to like go up in value a lot, but at the same time I think we can have other items that fill that role and not have the fusion system be that. Because if you want the game to be competitive, you want as many people to be able to access the competitive mode, and not to be able to be like, oh okay, I'll be competitive with all my stage 1 monsters, or I'll be competitive with all my stage 2 monsters. Even though that could allow us to maybe build different formats and stuff like that, but as they bring more stage 3s into the game, like they said, we definitely need this the hyper gem more. And then as more people come in, we're going to need more hyper gems. And if they said they're not going to bring out the same passive rewards again, we're going to have a limited supply of these items. We can only hope and plan with the information that we got when it comes to like the passive rewards, especially hyper gems. But this was my second key point I wanted to take away, because I thought it was a good one, but at the same time, I think in the future it could lead to something bad. But for now, it's definitely a good idea. But let me get into my last key point I want to break down. My last key point is about the Roman champions and how the team told us they're going to stay in the stage 1 form instead of the stage that we have them at. And it kind of reminds me of Digimon, and the way how even though they used to digivolve into like champion and mega and stuff like that, they revert back to their rookie forms. And it kind of reminds me of that system there. But when it comes to Celestia Ultimate, the champions are the main draw, and we kind of want to display them in all their glory. And when we're walking around the world and we're seeing the big monsters, it looks amazing. And in my mind, it would be great to have like the big monsters following us as well. But the team said that it will take up too much screen size and stuff like that, and it may kind of make it look messy. But I kind of disagree with that. I feel like if you can balance it well, maybe don't have them as big as they are in the open world when we battle them, but have them definitely like bigger than the normal size that we have, and maybe keep them in the stage 2 and stage 3 instead of stage 1. Because if we spend all that time and some people that investment into fusing our monsters, we want to display that. And if we can't have that in the normal open world, they need to give us a space where we can do it. So maybe when we go on someone's land and we're walking around, people can see our big champions in our stage 2 and 3s. Because I definitely feel like this is like something they're overlooking, and I feel like maybe it's easy for them to improve and update the game. So if enough of us ask for this, they could definitely do it. It might take a little bit of time, and we may have to accept that the champion might be a little bit further behind us. So then when we spin around, we can see the champion, but it's not directly behind us. But there's definitely a system they can do to have the stage 2 and 3 roaming, because I definitely think it's like a wasted opportunity. That's the best way to explain it, because the champions are the biggest draw on this game. Like when I first entered the world, and I saw the big blue snake, I was like, oh my god. Then walking a bit further, I saw the giant tree. I was like, I want to learn more about these monsters. I want to be able to get them. That was the main point. So if I'm gonna get it, fuse it, and then when I'm walking around with it, it's in the stage 1 form still, it's kind of underwhelming. And I feel like this is something they need to revisit and kind of not put like the full stop on the end of this. They definitely need to like update the game and put this into it. But the thing is, I feel the team is definitely going to be more open to changes once we got a bit more content in the game, like land and PvP. Because PvP is unlimited content, and land allows us to be able to fuse a lot more freely and not have to constantly burn NFTs off the market. So I think maybe after them 2 features have come out, we can revisit this idea and get the roaming champions to rate how we want, and show them in all their glory and all their monstrous size. As you can tell, trainers, the team are hard at work improving the game bit by bit, and we cannot wait for the update in early August so we can all fight each other in PvP and fuse our monsters with land monsters. But before we go, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more play to earn content, and like the video, and remember, be a shark in this space, not a whale. I'm going to see you next time, trainers.